So I haven't uploaded in around 6 months, and so much has changed since then. I'm now running the business full time. If you don't know about me already, my name's Ryan, and I started Amazon in November 2024, and I launched my first private label brand in March 2025, so around 4 months in. I'm married, I've got 4 kids, and at the time of starting the business, I was working full time, so it's really quite hectic. And I managed to quit my job in January of this year, so 2026. In this video, I'm going to share exactly what happened and whether it was worth it and how I've actually got to this point. So before Amazon, I was literally just your regular guy that has tried everything. I was an area sales manager in the DIY space, so I was a sales rep and went into different shops, and I had really good industry knowledge and I was really comfortable, but I'd always had this itch to do something myself. I'd tried everything. I've tried drop shipping, I've tried TikTok shop, honestly, you name it, and I've probably tried it. Now, Amazon actually appealed to me because the thing with e-commerce, I'd always kind of done 10% of it, but then avoided actually like my own Shopify store and really pushing it, is because of the fulfillment side. And when I realised what Amazon was and what it can do, I thought, well, that actually works alongside a full-time job and obviously my family. So I thought, let's give this a go. And in the job, I was just like frustrated because I was working for somebody else. There was a salary, not a cap, but there was a ceiling. Obviously, I was just a sales rep. So there was kind of, you get to a point and you're not going to earn any more. And the company car was nice, but I don't know, I just wanted a bit more control and I wanted to see the family more and obviously just a bigger and better future. Now, with me always looking at these other businesses, it was just literally wanted another income stream. I wanted some more money basically. And with Amazon, I actually realised like, let's just keep the money in and let's see if we can scale it. And eventually, genuinely from the first day I started Amazon, I wanted to quit my job. I kind of realised this is my way out of working for somebody else. I wanted the freedom. At the time, my daughter was 2, and I'd kind of missed the older kids, like the younger years, and obviously she was 2 at the time, and I thought, well, I want to spend as much time with her as possible, so let's really give this a go. Let's give this Amazon thing a go, and let's see if we can make it work, and if it can help me escape my job. So when I started Amazon in November 2024, I was just your everyday Amazon seller, going into shops, doing online arbitrage, just being one of those guys, I guess. But yeah, I just felt like it wasn't a business. I was just reselling other people's stuff, and quite honestly, it just got on my nerves every night. Going on Home Bargain's website, Latino, waiting for leads to drop in leads groups because I was quite bad at finding leads, and I just didn't enjoy it, to be quite honest. And by March, I was probably ready for quitting because it wasn't suited to my personality. I hated like just searching for leads. I'd get frustrated, and at the end of the day, I found it quite boring, to be honest with you. But what had happened, I'd started looking into private label. I'd registered a brand a couple of weeks earlier, and I come across a product by a UK supplier and noticed that it was like 15-16% margin, but there was only one seller of it. So I thought, well, let's get this from the UK distributor. Let's see if we can make it work, and let's just go from there. To this day, I still sell that product. It's now better source, so I get better margin, obviously. And it's actually my best-selling product still. So that's my first ever private label product. Stumbled up on it by chance, I guess. And yeah, we've just scaled it from there. But what really kind of pivoted me towards private label was the not having to source every night. I can build a brand. The sales are a lot more predictable than OA and RA. They're quite predictable. I know I'm going to get 2k sales every single day at the moment. Not to ruin it further on in the video, but that's what I know. And it's just long-term value. Whether I get an exit eventually, who knows? But it actually just feels like a real business. I can scale it. I've got a predictable profit. So I know this month I'll profit X amount and I can dedicate X amount to new product. So that's how the private label works for me. And that's why I pivoted towards it. So when I made the pivot to private label last year, I had built up around £2,000, and that's just from the online and retail arbitrage thing I'd been doing for the 4 months. And rather than blowing that on one product because it was my first time doing it, I actually decided to launch 4 or 5 different products. It may have even been more, but I didn't want to just spend £2,000 on one product, it fall on its backside and me be back at square one. So yeah, decided to launch quite a few different products within a small space of time. And I still have the rule today, to be honest. If I launch 5 products, I'm happy for 2 of them just to be a winner, because I know the other 3 wouldn't have cost me too much, and the other 2 are going to last me forever and going to bring me continuous profit. So at the time, obviously I had no warehouse, no staff, I knew what category I was going to be in-ish, but I'd only done online and retail arbitrage, so I genuinely had no idea how it was going to work. I had no mentor. I was just let's be honest, winging it. I didn't know how to do PPC, didn't know how to optimize listings, didn't know how to do any kind of forecasting of how much of the product we actually keep in stock. Knew how Amazon worked to a very basic level. Some of the challenges that I actually faced was, well, what products do I launch? How do I decide what's going to be a good product? How do I decide if it's worth launching a product? How do I see how much competition there is? So just actually launching the products, it's not easy, to be honest with you. I understood Amazon, but I was still learning it and learning how to do things like reimbursements. I was just getting to that point. And to be honest, the biggest challenge is cash flow. It remains to this day. While you're in growth mode, cash flow is always going to be a problem. You're trying to take out, i.e. invest, more than we're bringing in. So always going to be a big problem is cash flow, no matter where you're at with the business. But you've just got to figure out some unique strategies of how do we actually get more money if we're in a real strong growth period. And actually making decisions with the limited information and experience at the time. Let's say May last year I had 2 months of private label experience. I knew this is where I'm going, but I wanted to run before I could walk. So I was making decisions and trying to launch so much when I might not have even had the money. I didn't have the time to do the listings and PPC for it. So yeah, quite a few different challenges in the first few months, but managed to overcome them. Now, obviously, building this while working full-time brought some very unique challenges, which I'm sure some of them you're familiar with, working in the evenings, working the weekends, missing your family. But the extra challenges that private label brought was obviously dealing with suppliers, managing the stock because you have to keep the stock in, reinvesting the profits because you're doing all this work and you're like, I want it to keep growing, but I'm not seeing any return personally. The business was seeing a return, but it's like, I'm doing all this work, but Ryan himself is not seeing the returns of it. Although I saw the business growing and growing, that was enough to see me through. But it would have been nice to be able to take a bit of cash out while we're still working and kind of feel that pat on the back, I guess, and buy myself some new things. Launching products, obviously, you don't have to do that whilst just doing online or retail arbitrage, even wholesale. You've just got to find that extra time to do it. And obviously, there's a lot more mistakes to be made with private label, in my opinion, than there is with the other models, just because you've got the PPC where you can waste money. Obviously, you're tying yourself up to stock, which, let's be honest, you don't actually know if it's going to sell. If you're doing online, retail, or wholesale, the odds are that you've read some data on SellerAmp and you can see it already sells 500 times per month, or you're going to launch a Mother's Day keyring that might sell, but it might not sell because there's so much other competition on there. So that's where it's really difficult, especially while you're working full time, because it's just extra analysis that you've got to do. You've got to be on the ball a bit more with the PPC and the stock. And there is some sacrifices, obviously less free time, long days, you're working after work, which obviously it's all worth it in the long run. But there are some challenges that if you are thinking of private label and you're still working full time, just prepare for those challenges. So the time had come where I was thinking, do I quit my job and go all in on Amazon? I'd been toying with the idea for around 3 months, so I actually handed my notice in at work in October 2024. So I'd only actually been doing private label for 7 months. By this point, I was at around 40k per month. It was doing well, it was profitable. I had my own unit. I was doing quite a lot of orders, so maybe 2.5 up to 3,000 orders per month. So it was busy, and basically my decision was just forced to hand a notice in. I was just too busy with Amazon. I was trying to like steal hours from work and put them into the Amazon business, and I just thought I can go all in on this and grow it. It was starting to plateau a little bit because I couldn't put the time in that I deserved. My time was literally just fighting fires and sending that stock in. I had no time for finding new products. It was literally just finish work, send the stock in, make sure the warehouse is tidy. And yeah, I was, quite honestly, my hand was forced because we got it so busy that I had to be there. I was receiving so many deliveries. My neighbours, the other units, they was taking the parcels, and I just had that little bit of guilt that they're taking all these parcels in for me. They must be getting a little bit frustrated. I had quite a few winning products that would just really bring me some good revenue. And at the end of the day, the thing that hit me was, if this doesn't work out, I'm just going to end up where I was. I'm just going to be in 12 months' time. If this hasn't worked, a sales rep doing what I'm doing now. Let's just take the risk and see what other opportunities arise with the business. Obviously, there was a lot of fears. So, family, we need my money. We have a house to pay for. Losing that guaranteed income. What happens if the business slows down? Obviously, if cash flow, if it becomes really tight and we can't afford to pay me, for example. So yeah, there was obviously all these fears, but the business just needed more attention, and I genuinely could not keep doing both forever. So I handed my notice in October, which was about 40k per month. My boss asked me to do a 3-month notice, so my actual finishing date was end of January, which gave me a bit of time, steal a few more hours, and yeah, let's see how we can make this work full time. So my January revenue was 42,000 when I quit. And the profit was actually really bad. It was 4,500. So business costs were 2k all in. And let's say I wanted to take 2k, only left £500 profit for growth. So quite honestly, I did take quite a big risk leaving in January with just 4.5k profit. So fast forward 5 months later, we're now in June, and I'm still in the warehouse. I'm now obviously full time. We've got the first employee, a young lad doing the labels for us and just bits of warehouse work, because quite honestly, it was taking up too much of my time. I've got around 150 SKUs under my brand. I may have killed 30 of them, so let's say 120 products that we now manage and that are under our own brand. I've got 2 brands. One is minuscule. It's done around 2k last month. The main brand done 59k, so 61k across private label products. My total sales was 62, so probably £1,000 of old dead stock that we weren't under our brand, and the total net profit on that was 7.5k. That's after the advertising, that's after fees. I will put a little caveat in there. It's after advertising, including that, which was 3.9k, and I can reclaim 20% of that. So actually, we're going to push over 8k profit last month, which I'm really, really happy with. 5 months work of being full time, and we've near enough doubled the profit. Obviously, there's so many benefits of going full time for me. It gets my full focus. My decisions are faster. I can speak to suppliers more. I can bring in new products more often. I can make the turnaround of a new product a lot faster, and I can actually put systems in place. I can create systems. I'm big in the AI world, so trying to automate. Well, we have automated our PPC pretty much, and we've automated our stock decisions and inventory management and purchasing. It's pretty much automated now, so I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still working full time. Obviously, it's brought its challenges. I've got responsibility. I've got to make the business profitable. I've got to actually work. I can't just sit doing nothing like most of the other Amazon sellers are in Dubai or the Canton Fair every week. So yeah, I've actually got to do the work because I have a family, I have a house. I've got to manage staff. I've got to make sure he's happy. He's got everything he needs. Not really what I imagined when I was sourcing home bargains back in November 2024. Obviously, the inventory forecasting, which has kind of been handled by AI now, and the biggest problem, cash flow, still a problem because I want more products than what my bank balance allows. So the total revenue since I first started is 620,000. So that's since November 2024 across everything I've done. Probably 600k of that is under my own brand. Maybe 580 is under my own brand. And like I said earlier, my current monthly revenue of last month was 62k. So I just want to end this video of what I think made me successful in Amazon, or moderately successful. So the first one is well, I didn't just wait around waiting for the next YouTube video to tell me exactly what to do. I just went head first. Let's see if I can make this work. There was thousands of more experienced Amazon sellers than me. I'd been on the platform for 4 months before I started private label. I genuinely knew absolutely nothing about it. I just knew that you could find a product and sell it under your own brand and nobody else can sell it. So that really appealed to me. I knew I didn't know everything and I was comfortable with that. I was comfortable that, well, when I launch a product, I'll figure out how to do the image. My first product, I took the image on my sofa and just removed the background in Canva. That's how bad it was. It was honestly so bad, but it's improved over time. The more and more I've jumped into things, I've got better. PPC, my ads at first, I was spending like £1, £2 on a click when the profit was only £1 or £2. So obviously you just realise this over time and you figure things out. And I think that's just what made me successful. It probably would have been better if I paid a mentor and paid for his experience and paid for his time, but I didn't have that money to pay for a mentor. I just had money for stock. Now the second one is, well, I reinvested all my profit, every last penny. I reinvested it up until I've started taking the salary out of the job this year, out of the company, this year. So I reinvested everything, which allowed it to grow so fast and allowed the new products. And I'm just going to end it with, I didn't give up. I just kept going. Like I said before, 2 out of 5 winning products. I'm happy. That's why I launched 5 products at the start, because maybe if I would have launched one and it failed, maybe I would have quit and give up. But I now have the rule, 2 out of 5. Let's not give up. Even now, if I launch 5 and they all flop, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep launching because I know the model works. Just go and find some big sellers, and that should be enough inspiration for you that this works. And obviously the long-term thinking played a part. I want to sell the brands eventually. So I appreciate you watching. I am so sorry that it took me 6 months to get the next video out. I'm going to try and be more consistent. I've got a bit more time now, believe it or not. So there will be more content uploaded on YouTube. And if you're wondering, Ryan, was it worth it? Yes, it was. I've now got a bit more money, but what I have is a lot more time, which to me is worth its weight in gold. I get to see my wife, get to see the kids, and quite honestly, I don't have to answer the phone to anybody. Now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.